All right, we are live on YouTube. 1 second here. Let's switch back to Phyllis. And feel free to click the broadcast button.
Let me know when you're ready to start the meeting.
I'm ready. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, it's live.
Okay, welcome to the January 2021 meeting of the Clifton Town Council, our first meeting of 2021. We're holding the meeting electronically by Zoom, as we have been for many months now, pursuant to legislation passed by the Virginia General Assembly, signed into law by the governor, and the emergency declared by the governor, as well as the town and procedures approved by the town. The meeting and the agenda are sent out in advance. People are given an opportunity to attend, either by watching on Zoom or by watching through YouTube, and also to speak by registering. So opportunity for full public participation, notwithstanding that we're doing it electronically. With that, we'll get into the agenda, starting as we always do with the report of the town clerk.
We had 2 sets of minutes, the regular minutes from December 1st and the minutes for the special meeting that was held on December 15th. I circulated both of those drafts and I did not receive any corrections.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve both sets of minutes as presented.
Second.
This motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, anything else?
So far, we've only received 4 completed golf cart registration forms out of approximately 12 households that in the previous year had registered golf carts. I've contacted everybody twice. So I will wait a few weeks and then I'll send out another notice. The decals that should go on everybody's golf cart plates this year are red and they say 21. So if anybody does happen to see somebody driving around on the streets in Clifton without a red tag, please just give them a friendly reminder to submit their application for the renewal, which can be found online in the applications section of the website.
Okay.
That's the end of my report.
Okay, we'll get back to you again in a bit. Treasurer's report.
Okay, the report is for the period ended December 31st. The cash balances as of the 31st of December are $1,321,803.82. We had maturing CDs on the 4th and the 8th, which we reviewed last month, and they were renewed as approved last month. For the COVID-19 report, the highlights there are for the month of December, we expended the money for the Zoom renewal for the month of $183.66. The key points are that we did receive the verification that we need to send the final report not by November 30th, but by January 29th, along with any funds that we may be returning. In the last meeting, it was also a lot of discussion about an extension that the county is considering whether or not to give that would allow any of the subrecipients as well as themselves to go beyond December 30th as far as utilizing the funds. That would mean that rather than having to cut off all expenditures as of December 30th, we could continue to utilize any remaining funds so that we wouldn't end up having to return any. I will probably hear about an update on that by tomorrow. The only reason they weren't able to talk about any decision last week was because a lot of the people in the county were on leave. So we should be able to hear something on that tomorrow. But as of right now, we'll have all the final expenditures taken care of for the COVID staff positions times and any other expenses through December 30th. And we will do the report by January 29th or earlier.
Marilyn, is your sense that they're going to go with an extension?
My sense is that they probably will go with the extension unless they just want to wrap it up and not. But they couldn't really say for sure until the key people were back. They also were talking about their anticipation of new funding coming out for the next period. That would be that would require new subrecipient agreements if funds are granted out to the counties. And so we will hear more about that. That funding is supposed to come down through the state, and then the state will interpret the regs and decide what they're actually funding, which is different than the way it came through the first time. It came through directly to the counties. So that's why they're saying that they can't just extend or do an amendment to the existing subrecipient agreements. They would need to issue new subrecipient agreements.
Right.
So that's kind of where we are with the COVID program. For the highlights, the main highlights are for this period are the main bigger ones are the sales tax for October that was received in December is $2,963. Excuse me. For motor vehicle tags, we received $3,047.68, which was for both November and December. We also received a report from Fairfax showing that the remaining vehicle registration fees total about $769. Amanda, I'll send you a copy of that as well. The amount that we've received year to date for the motor vehicle fees is $6,478.35. That's from July 1 to present through the end of December. Highlights under contractual expenses. Community Hall Electric was paid for $411.98 for November. We also had, we received the accountant's fees for the final payment of the completion of the FY19 audit that was approved by the council just recently. That's $3,250 that we'll be asking for a roll call vote on. The amount is consistent with what was agreed upon in the engagement letter that was signed last year. Legal fees for November was $1,150, which was approved last month. We also had the holiday tree expenses that were expended for $1,200. We received $881.85 in donations. And the amount that was then paid that you will see reflected in the expenses is $318.15. I didn't actually receive any documentation for the donations, so I haven't booked those as income yet, but I think that's probably what I need to do is book the income from the donations and then actually have the expense reflected at 1,200.
Just cash the check first.
Cash the check first. Well, I think the checks went to
Oh,
Donna. Yeah. So
But did we receive $881?
that's what she reported. I have
No,
not looked
did
at,
we receive $881? Not did Donna receive 880? Like, again,
no,
it
we
sounds
did
to
not,
me-
we didn't get the money.
so who paid the $1,200?
13.
Donna.
Donna paid $1,200 and Donna got $881. Therefore, there's $318 that Donna needs from us, is the way it sounds.
Right. Then that check has been cut and will be signed. Will be
So-
signed.
So there's no income report that you need to do.
Yeah, I
It's
don't.
purely an
see-
expenditure report.
Right.
Okay.
Record the 1,200 either.
So
don't think
you're
we have-
saying that okay,
The town agreed to put in up to $1,200,
uh-huh,
whatever the difference was between $1,200 and whatever community members contributed. That amount turned out to be $318.50.
Right. right.
So
So
the
the reason I
town
didn't book it is
contributed.
because I didn't have a chance to actually discuss the transaction. But if you only want the $318 to be booked, that's what's booked currently. I didn't do anything with the donations because I didn't actually receive the documentation on the donation.
Shouldn't.
We didn't get any donations. We didn't
Yeah.
pay $1,200 and we didn't get $881 in donations.
Okay. Okay. So that's good
All that happened-
clarification then.
From our perspective, all that happened is we paid $318, I think.
That's right.
Correct.
Okay. So I will leave it like that. That's the way it's reflected in the report right now.
Okay.
Okay, what else here? Sorry. Okay. I think those are the main highlights. The two roll call votes that we need are, the first is for the $3,250 for the final payment on the FY19 audit.
And we
The
paid some amount before, we paid an advance or something, and then this is the final payment?
Right. Normally we pay for the work in progress, and it's half of the fee plus whatever the lodging cost was. And then the final payment is made after the audit is received as an approved audit. And so this is just the final payment.
Okay, I'll make a
How does it compare to
motion.
budget? Is that within the amount budgeted, the total?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the amount budgeted's over 7,000, so I don't know, this is 3,250. If the other one was 3,250, then it'd be 6,500.
No, it was a little bit more than that because the first payment included the lodging.
So
But
Dr. Reagan's
it's all in
question,
accordance to the engagement letter that was signed.
is the total amount within what's in the budget?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the $3,250 payment to the auditors as the final payment for the 2019 audit for the town of Clifton.
Second.
Any further discussion? We'll do a roll call. Holloway, aye.
Efros, aye.
McDonald, aye.
Oh, aye.
Line I.
Green eye.
Okay,
Okay. The second roll call vote is for approval of the attorney's services for the month of December in the amount of $975. Bill did review the bill and is in concurrence with the approval of it.
Is it for December?
Yes.
November? December.
For December.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve payment of the attorney's invoice of $975 for services in the month of December.
Efros, I second.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion? We'll do a roll call on that as well. Holloway, aye.
Efros, I.
Gallo, aye.
Oh, aye.
Klein, aye.
Green eye.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
To approve the report of the treasurer.
I'm sorry.
Didn't capture a vote for the approval of the treasurer's report yet.
Make a motion, we approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you all.
that it? Okay. Move on to citizens' remarks. We have remarks, but they're within context of the food truck. So we'll get to that when we get to it. So we'll move to committee reports, starting with the Planning Commission.
The Planning Commission reviewed a new use permit application for Copper Mine Realty at 12644 Chapel Road. That reflects the change in space at that location to Suite 214. It's for a commercial office use for a real estate firm with the hours as set forth on the application. And the Planning Commission determined 5 parking spaces should be allocated to reflect the new use and square footage, and recommends the town council approve the use permit as set forth in the application and as written above.
I'll make a motion to approve the use permit for Copper Mine Realty as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next.
Planning Commission reviewed a new use permit application for Wheelhouse Pilates at 12644 Chapel Road, which reflects both a change in ownership and a change in the space location. It's a commercial retail use for exercise classes, and the Planning Commission determined a total of 5 spaces should be allocated for parking and recommends that the town council approve the use permit as set forth in the application.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the use permit for Wheelhouse Pilates as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion
Aye.
carries.
Planning Commission also reviewed a new use permit application for Market Wealth Management, also at 12644 Chapel Road, reflecting a change in space at that location for the same use as previously. And the Planning Commission determined 5 parking spaces should be allocated. The commission recommends the town council approve the use permit as set forth in the application and as set forth above. And would just note that these 3 new use permit applications were applications from existing tenants who had either changed ownership or changed space locations. So we've also included a list of the parking at the property, and there is parking to accommodate all these uses.
Okay. This is for Market Wealth Management. Is that correct?
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve the use permit of Market Wealth Management LLC as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Second.
Taking turns, Steve.
Yeah, just trying to keep it moving.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. Motion carries.
Planning Commission reviewed a new use permit application for Beljar Design at 7137 Main Street, the front building, reflecting a change of ownership to new owner Carrie Powers. And this is for retail commercial use for the hours set forth at the space set forth on the application. The use requires a total of 6 parking spaces, which are present on the property. And the Planning Commission recommends the Town Council approve the use permit as set forth in the application.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the new use permit application for Beljar Design as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Come on, Lynn.
Second.
Okay, great. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries.
And finally, the Planning Commission reviewed an application for a new use permit for the Clifton Cafe at 7144 Main Street, reflecting a change in space for the cafe from part of the building to the entire building and an increase in seating from 56 seats to 85 seats and an increase in employees on site as well. Since it's a special use permit application, which means it needs to go through public hearing, both of the Planning Commission and Town Council, we needed to make sure that the application was properly complete and had all the necessary addendums. And unfortunately, the application was not complete. It had been amended mid-application, mid-month, and the new addendum had not been signed by the owner of the building and also had some inconsistent information from the initial application, which the applicant is going to clarify. Also, the parking plan that was submitted with the application was inadequate, and both the owner and the applicant were requested to provide a properly drawn to scale parking plan by an engineer that met all of the requirements of Section 913 in the code, and most importantly, done on the new survey, which had been just done this past year, and would indicate the extent of any sort of land disturbance in creation of the new parking area. So when the applicant provides the completed information and a parking plat that meets the requirements of the code, the next step will be for the Planning Commission to set it for public hearing for the Planning Commission to review the information and give members of the public a chance to ask questions, comment, or anything else. So this item doesn't require any action of the Town Council. It's more for information purposes.
Question on the process and the public hearing. If I think about the way we do public hearings with changes to zoning ordinances and stuff like that, the Planning Commission and then the council go through the effort to figure out what it is that we propose to do. Then we advertise what we propose to do, and we collect input from the public on an official basis on what we propose to do through the public hearing. So the question here is, in this particular case, with a special use permit and a public hearing, would it be the same? Once we know what we propose to do, would we then hold a public hearing? Or do we hold the public hearing to get input from the public on their ideas and thoughts and hopes and wishes? And then from that, we decide what we want to do. It sounds like the latter or the former.
well, I don't know if it's the latter or the former, but with a special exception, you have a public hearing being held. So the public can weigh in on their opinions about this particular use, the expansion of the use, ideas if modifications to the use are proposed, specific concerns. So until that happens, neither the Planning Commission or I think probably Town Council is in a complete position to come to any sort of conclusions on the type of use. It's been pretty consistent in past cases. Restaurants are all done by special use permit. And these are most of the ones we've had done through public hearings have been restaurants. There's only been one bed and breakfast, and it was a long time ago. But as a result of public hearings that have been held on the Planning Commission and Town Council level, there have usually been a number of conditions attached to an issued use permit as a result of those public hearings. For example, concerns about noise, concerns about music, concerns about hours, parking modifications, all those types of things. However, to get to the public hearing, we need a completed application and we need a properly completed and designed parking plan so members of the public have something they can review and it can be put online. So unlike a zoning ordinance that the Planning Commission, Town Council decides what ordinance they're going to propose, in essence, this is meant to collect information, give members of the community a chance to comment, give the applicant and owner of the building a chance to indicate what is doable for their business or not in response to concerns, and then to move forward rather than present a finished product at the outset, which I don't think we really could do needing to have open hearings.
So perhaps the analogy is, in the case of a zoning ordinance, we are the ones proposing something.
That's right.
And the public gives input. Here, the applicant is proposing something. And once we know what the something is,
Exactly.
and we've got a complete version of what the something is, then the public has an opportunity to talk about that proposal. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. That's helpful. Thank you. Okay. Still collecting info. Anything else?
No.
Just one question back on Bell Jar. Does the lease that we have in place with Bell Jar convey to the new owner without any reason to update that or change it?
You know, at the end of the day, there is no lease in place. So the lease expired long ago, and the owner operator has asked to continue on a month-to-month basis on the basis of reduced rent, and the council has agreed to do so. But we have not negotiated a new lease. So in fact, the owner does not have a lease. And as I've thought about that, we could negotiate a new lease right now in the middle of the pandemic, or we could wait till the pandemic is done and then figure out what is appropriate. If you recall, or maybe you don't, the lease rate was reduced about 2 years ago because the owner believed that she was not sure she was going to continue the business and wanted relief on a temporary basis to decide whether to even continue. And that was never changed. So that reduced rate from 2 years ago is what's still being charged. And given the pandemic, a reasonable approach. But coming out of the pandemic, that's, in my view, not a reasonable approach. But as far as trying to figure out what that number should be, might be difficult to do at this time. But long way of answering your question, there is no lease to convey.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I was asked about two of the members of the Planning Commission Kathy and Jennifer, their terms need to be renewed on the planning commission. Does that sound right, Kathy?
Amanda usually has the numbers. I don't have them in front of me. What do you see, Amanda?
Kathy, her term expired
Yesterday. Okay, well then, I guess it needs to be re-upped. And how about Jennifer's?
Jennifer expires on February 1st.
So then we should do both of them if you would. Thank you, Amanda.
And for like 10 years or like what? How
For
long do we
years,
do these
according
things?
to
4 years.
state statute.
How
4
many? 4? What?
Yes.
Quadrennial.
All right, I will make a motion to approve Kathy Kalinowski and Jennifer Heilman to new 4-year terms expiring 4 years from the time of the end of their current terms.
Second.
Do they both want to, are they both interested in the job? In extending?
No, no,
Oh,
no.
we don't
We don't ask that
Well,
question.
Not-
Kathy,
Okay.
I don't know about Kathy. It's hard to say, but
I don't know. For sure, we're not asking Jennifer.
yes. Okay. And any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay. Zoning administrator?
So I only have one property to update you on this month, and that is 7184 Clifton Road. In a nutshell, there has been no progress made since the last report at the beginning of December. I did talk to Royce, who's not here tonight, just to ask him for some more specifics because he had gone up to actually look at the progress sometime last month. And there's been some progress, but there's also been some of the features that were done counter to what the ARB had approved, even with this second go around. The thing that you would most definitely see from the road would be the railing that is atop the retaining wall that is in the front of the property. You may have seen that's right now is an unpainted pressure treated wood. And the ARB was most emphatic that the builder should install black wrought iron, as was originally approved for his application. So you could almost say that there's been negative progress, unfortunately. I know none of you are probably looking at the ARB documents right now, so I'll just quickly go through them. The ARB had agreed to allow the siding that was installed. Royce checked the porch railing replacement that was done according to the preliminary COA that was issued in October of 2020. When Royce went out there, there was only one window that had had a grid applied, and it was done using vinyl, and it was done with incorrect dimensions. And so Royce did tell him in writing that that needed to be corrected with the right material and in the right dimensions and applied to all the windows. And we don't know yet if any of that has been changed. We don't know yet if he has completed all of the eave returns. They were done in the dog-eared style. They were supposed to be the freeze board eave returns. When Royce went out there, some of those were done, but not all of them. He was supposed to replace the side lights with his front door. The ARB specified in the original COA, no side lights, but the builder installed side lights. And the ARB, after some back and forth and discussion with the builder, agreed to allow side lights if they were to be replaced with either clear or frosted glass. That was not yet done at the time of Royce's recent inspection. So that's sort of the very ARB specific update. In general, we have not received the payment from the builder for the ARB application, just $250. We have not received demonstration of his payment to the town engineer, which is for a cost of, I think, somewhere around $975. And these are all things that have been communicated quite regularly with the builder as recently as December 22nd. We need to receive documentation showing that Fairfax County Health Department has approved the new well location. And the builder needs to schedule a walkthrough on the site with at least 2 ARB members and go through one more ARB meeting, at which time hopefully he would receive a final COA. The builder needs to provide documentation to the Planning Commission showing that all final inspections have been completed and passed. And finally, just come to one more Planning Commission meeting to certify all the work was done, that everything is in compliance, and hopefully at that time, the Planning Commission would vote to recommend approval of a final use permit for the project. So it's a whole lot of stuff that has not been done. So sorry, that's a long report, but I feel like it's important to once a month just let everybody know what's going on.
Okay. Any idea what's next?
I'm sorry?
Any idea what's next? Just
No.
waiting on the developer to do something. Okay,
Yeah.
very good. All right, thank you. ARB?
So the ARB did not meet and there is no report.
Okay. Streetscape's on here just because it's just part of the agenda generally. No update that I'm aware of, no
Yeah,
requirement.
very briefly, the committee has met with Jim Chesley in preparation of engaging Novec. So.
Okay. All right, very good. On to unfinished business. The first one, and we'll try to move through these pretty quickly. Natural landscaping resolution. In a nutshell, this is something that says when the town on the town's property is going to make new plantings, that it use natural landscaping, native plants. And when the town is doing replacement work for plantings that we have, we would do replacement with natural native plants. And we would take that into account in our planning with regard to properties owned and controlled by the town. So when I say controlled by the town, like pursuant to a lease or something like that, our property. And hopefully that will set a good example for people. We've got a draft of the resolution. It was provided to me. I provided some comments, and it'll eventually make its way back to the council to review, and then the council can approve it, presumably in time to actually plant stuff. So there's no action on it at this time because the council members don't have the resolution to work on, but it is under development and coming along. And Fairfax County did something similar to this, so it's not like we're out on a limb here, although Fairfax County was one of the first, as I understand it, to do something. Okay. All right. And moving on to, I also want to mention I'm going to ask to add an item to the agenda. That item will be added after we discuss the food truck. And Steve, do you think we should add the item now or wait till we discuss the food truck and then add the item?
I think we probably should wait, because otherwise the two conversations will get mixed up.
Fair enough. Okay, so with that teaser, we'll get to that, but I wanted to give you notice of that. So the next item on the agenda is the taco food truck event and town requirements for selling meals from food trucks. Individuals in the town floated the idea of bringing a food truck in might be fun, and some people said they thought that would be great. Other people said they thought it would not be great. And then people said, well, what are the requirements to do it? So I thought it would be appropriate to make sure the council was aware of it, have the council weigh in on it, have the planning commission weigh in on it. So people that are the proponents of the concept would be aware right from the beginning what the requirements would be to do so, and what perhaps the sense of the council would be with regard to that. So we have 3 people signed up to speak on this and give us their thoughts on it. That is Donna Netchert, Tom Peterson, Sean McNamara, all town people, either residents or business owners in the town, that will share their views with the council on this idea one at a time, and each one of them will, as is typical, have 3 minutes to talk about it, and can always ask follow-up questions after they're done. So with that intro, and the idea of them speaking is to give the council a sense of what's even being proposed here, so we have context within which to discuss it. We'll open it up for those speakers to give us their thoughts, and then the council and perhaps the planning commission can weigh in on it. So with that, the first speaker is Donna Netchert.
Donna, you're muted.
Do we have the ability to unmute Donna from our end, or does she have to do it herself?
I'm trying to unmute Donna.
I think you can ask her to unmute and it should just pop a button up for her.
Yes, I did ask her to unmute.
You'll have to actually hit the button.
Donna, you're still muted.
Technology.
We are texting as well. Oh. Can we skip to the next speaker and then
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
okay,
Okay, the next speaker is Tom Peterson.
hold on. Go, Tom. There you are. Tom, you've been promoted to a panelist. Can you unmute?
He is unmuted. Not twice.
This is the same issue that Phyllis was having when she first came in, showing up twice. No video.
Okay. There must be a setting on Phyllis's hosting that is either blocking this or never had this trouble before.
Phyllis, can you shift the host to test that out?
I don't know. Amanda? Amanda? Hello?
She's on the phone with someone.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Can you take back the hosting and see if you can open this up?
I don't know that Donna keeps saying that her webinar has expired, so I'm not sure what, but I'm happy to let Amanda take control and try and work it out. Would you like that?
Sure, I'll try. I can't guarantee that I'm as good as Phyllis, but I will try.
Her webinar has expired. We have a subscription, don't we? I mean, we're not on the 45-minute limit here.
No.
Is there a call-in number?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so give me 1 second here.
Yeah, there is a call-in number, but we can also.
This happens a lot on things I do with work where somebody can't get in, so they just call in and they can't watch the expressions, or maybe they can on their computer, but at least audio, they can go through their phone. If they know what the number is, you gotta have the number and the password or whatever.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna.
There he is. Speak, Thomas.
Tom, we can't hear you.
Tom, are you talking? Yeah, he's talking.
Talking, but we can't hear you.
Yep.
You know, I think we were due for some snags like this because pretty much every previous meeting has gone very smoothly.
Absolutely, yeah. Tom, do you have your microphone on? I know you're not muted, but the microphone on your
end.
On your end? Oops, he just disappeared.
G'day.
Maybe he's gonna try to come back in.
Yeah.
He didn't even have a microphone icon.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if I can get Donna back on and then.
Hey, Donna, can you unmute?
Yeah, it's a setting.
I'm gonna try adding Sean too, because Sean
There he goes.
McNamara was. So it looks like
Sean
Sean McNamara is not muted. Let's see if we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay!
Wow, how
All
cool.
right.
You can be
Success.
speaker one if you want.
Speaker one? Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sean.
Well, thank you guys for allowing me to speak. I appreciate it. I guess I just wanted to convey to the town council that it's really, really hard being a small business and especially a restaurant right now with the pandemic going on. And we personally at Clifton store, Main Street, are struggling. I understand why people would want to have food trucks, just to have something different in town. Makes sense to me. But it just feels like we're getting kicked when we're already on the ground. So I believe it or not, I spent almost an entire sleepless night going back and forth in my head about this. I don't think that there's any law saying that a food truck couldn't come into town or anything like that. It just, I don't know. It just hurts. It just hurts our business. And I mean, I'm obviously against it for that reason. So I guess that's all I really need to say.
Okay.
Thanks, Sean.
Any questions?
No. I agree. Donna, have you figured out how to unmute yet? We got Sean doing it. So it can't be on our end.
Yeah, Sean was proof that this works.
Yeah.
Hey, Donna, hold down your space bar. That sometimes works.
Don't forget the phone option.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm gonna call Donna.
okay. Was Tom going to try to come back in? Is
Yes. Okay.
While this is going on, why don't I make a few comments, because I think that this whole issue is a little bit premature. We have looked at the requirements for food trucks. I'm sympathetic with Sean and the whole idea of trying to protect the businesses in Clifton, but I also agree with him that there's no legal reason why somebody doesn't have the option of eating something else that they want to eat. However, based on the county rules, which I assume we either have adopted or would adopt on food trucks, there's virtually no place in town that a food truck could appropriately be parked.
Well, Steve, let me just interrupt. I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
let's not forget what provoked our code change on mobile temporary structures, which specifically require a use permit for a food truck, was Tom Peterson's food truck, and that he was using as part of the ice cream parlor. And that was deemed to be a structure. And just so we could be clear going forward, the town passed the mobile temporary structures, which
Right.
is pretty clear about where these can go. They need to be on someone's property. A food truck's a business, as is the one on Tom's property, could be parked there potentially. It would need to meet the requirements of use permits, setbacks, et cetera, parking, all those types of things, just like Tom was required to do it. So it certainly is conceivable. The other thing is Fairfax County has rules too in terms of licensing, et cetera. I assume, and since we don't have contrary rules, they probably would apply to Clifton. The
Mhm.
more interesting thing is that the county only allows food trucks on streets, as far as I can tell, in 3 locations that they've specifically been given permission by VDOT to put them there on the streets. So food trucks just parked generally on streets would clearly need VDOT's permission as well, which, given they've only approved 3 locations in the entire Fairfax County, I think it's probably a pretty far stretch that they're going to approve a food truck on any of our streets. So Sean's right. There's no law against it, but they do have to comply with the water requirements. That's all. So, it would need to be on someone's property, and it would need to be a commercial property, just like was done on Tom's property, where the food truck was made part of his ice cream organization and using it as part of his kitchen. I mean, that certainly is possible.
Yeah, Kathy, that's where I was going. which was there are a set of rules that already exist, and presumably we would apply the same rules that everybody else. So certainly all the rules that apply to businesses in Clifton, and one of those rules is a use permit. And there are a lot of other rules that Fairfax County with regard to health code and a lot of other things. If you read the county code, VDOT, I think we would fight if VDOT started saying you could park on the few VDOT roads that go through Clifton, because we have enough trouble with parking as it is. So starting to take up more parking spaces would be a real problem. If you read the VDOT code, I mean the Fairfax County code, it could be on private property, but it could not be, and it would have to be in a parking space. The problem with that is, of course, if planning, as the Planning Commission tells us all the time, we virtually have no parking spaces left in the private parking spaces in Clifton. So there are some inherent difficulties. And I appreciate the mayor putting this on the agenda, because we all got emails about it and there was concern, this interest in food trucks. But I thought we really ought to look at what the implications of that are and what they would have to comply with before going any farther.
Would you like to continue the public's
Sure.
comments? Okay, Donna's on the phone, my phone, and she can speak through it. Let me turn my volume up, Donna.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Yeah, okay. This just started as a Facebook inquiry. It was almost a joke. I'm getting a reverb. Let me turn off my tablet. Anyway, shut up. Put my dog bed on top of it. Yeah, it was just like a one-night event thing. I'm not going to rat out various neighborhoods who are already having food trucks, not on VDOT roads. In private neighborhoods, people are using it as events for outdoor gatherings during COVID. So I said I wouldn't bring it up, and I didn't say that we'd have to ask the town council what the restrictions or guidelines would be. And I'm not married to the idea. I just thought it'd be fun one night to have tacos instead of Italian. I mean, I have supported all the restaurants in this town heavily because, of course, everybody knows I don't cook. So, you know, it was just an idea. And if it's not a good one, and if you guys don't like it, nobody care. It's just, we weren't trying to undermine our restaurants. It was just adding one night of tacos. That was it. That was it. Like an event at the barn where they serve food, you know. So if you guys wanted to go away, it's not a problem. I'm certainly not going to be doing all kinds of calls to the state or the county. It was just like, okay, they have food trucks in other neighborhoods once in a while, and that offers we have something to look forward in January or February, which is like a very non-eventful time of year during COVID. So, you know, every month I have to dream up something to entertain myself. Last month it was the Christmas tree lights. So this month it was the taco truck. And whatever you decide, fine. But I certainly don't think it's even worth all this discussion, all this angst, all this ordinance, this, that, and the other, if you don't want us to have a food truck one time or any time, then we won't. That's all I'm saying. I'm not doing this to undermine the restaurants in any way. Sean, you know I love you, and I have a restaurant morning, noon, and night, and I have gift cards for friends for Christmas. So I have definitely supported all the restaurants here. So this was just a silly little idea. So if you just tell me what to do, and I'll report back to the Facebook crowd. I had hundreds of people interested with numbers. I had plenty of people who were interested in a one-night stand taco truck. But if it doesn't happen, fine, no big deal. So just tell me what to do.
I think there are a lot of ways to eat tacos without a taco truck. I'm sure you could get tacos catered for an event at the barn or whatever it is you're planning without bringing in a food truck. And maybe even the pub could update their menu to serve tacos. Who knows?
Or Tromers could have tacos. I think what we're hearing is no, not now. That's kind of the punchline. And one of the things I took away was not on a public street. And if it was on private property, which it would need to be, it would need to be on a commercial property. It'd need to have a use permit. That's if you have a food truck that is in effect operating a new business that to me would be like a restaurant with seating and parking and a special use permit and all these sorts of things. Now, if the town wanted to hold an event where we roped off part of the town and brought in food trucks of our choice,
Say a Sunday in October, for example.
well, yes, exactly. And we had Villaggio and the pub and the cafe and Peterson's ice cream and Trummers, and they were all participating in the new French place. And then we brought in Ethiopian, Japanese, whatever. So we had foods of the world. We could certainly do such a thing. And as Daryl noted, we in fact do such a thing at Clifton Day. So it's doable to have some sort of an event done by the town if we were inclined to do so. But as we sit here today in January, during the pandemic, our fervent desire is to do what we can to support the businesses that we have in town and to strive to do that.
I also think that
and to keep crowds down.
Yes, I was about to say, I think it's ill-advised to encourage people to gather in large groups until we're clear of this thing. I mean, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Let's just stay the course, be safe, be smart, and do something in the fall once everybody's got a chance to get vaccinated and we're past this.
I think it's also important that the fact that people from our restaurants are coming forward and saying that they're struggling. You know, we certainly can channel our energy into highlighting that fact and encouraging, you know, all those who do have that extra energy looking for something interesting on Facebook, just to rechannel that energy right back into the town businesses to keep them alive during this time.
Yeah.
Good. Yep. Funnel them back to the businesses that we have. Okay. I think.
Just that Donna wanted to say one more thing.
Donna, okay, go ahead.
Okay, it was just a one-night thing. This was not going to be an annual event, a weekly event. It was a one-night, one-off thing idea. And actually, food trucks do take. You call in your order and people pick it up like a grab and go. It's not a group app. I would never advocate anything that would be a large spreading event. If anybody knows, I'm in my house more than most in the COVID. So it was, you know, not even worth me running down to Villaggio to pick up carry out or going inside the Clifton store to pick up carry out. It's all very controlled that way. But if it's not something you want to do, I promised the group that I would ask, and it can go away. I like the idea of foods from around the world like they do for maybe Clifton Day. I don't know if they would even do it at the barn. Let me park over at the barn. But the bottom line is it's not my food truck. It's no skin off my nose. I've just said that I would ask. And it was not done to undermine the restaurants. A lot of people would come to get tacos at a food truck that might not go to the restaurants. I don't know. But I don't want you to think that I'm trying to like create some adventure that is huge. I mean, it was just a one night idea. I think it's kind of gotten blown out of proportion. So I am fine with the answer that it's not going to be doable in town. And fine, it's great. I wasn't married to the idea. I was just delivering the question about it, and I think it's been answered. So thanks.
Okay.
Thank you for raising the idea. Any further discussion on that? Okay. The item that I wanted to seek to add to the agenda, and we'll make a motion to add it to the agenda, is to discuss action to honor former mayor and former council member Wayne Nickum and in particular, potentially naming the community hall for Wayne Nickum. And I wanted to initiate that discussion. So I'd like to make a motion to add that to the agenda for discussion.
I second.
Okay. We'll have a vote. It's just a vote to add it to the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. The last item. So, well, it's sort of self-explanatory, but as most of you know, Wayne was inexplicably on the town council and mayor for more than 40 years, which is kind of unimaginable. But more than that, the town as it currently is would not be this way if it was not for him. He was instrumental in many, many things, but one of them was the establishment of the historic district, which ended up with us maintaining the town as we have it, and as we grow, to grow consistent with the history that's in the town. Could have easily ended up like so many other places you see where, I mean, look at Centerville. What is that? Unless people from Centerville are watching, in which case it's awesome. But, you know, there's a couple historic buildings and then a couple new buildings and other. We've maintained consistent character, and that was a conscious choice made by those people that came in the 70s. And then Wayne, the mayor, through the 80s, to make it that way. They could have bulldozed stuff, built stuff, but they did not. And we are the recipients of that. So it's really a critical part of our history. And I talked to some of the more senior folks with more years of experience here in town, and they go, oh, this is no big deal. It just happened. And I said, we're talking about 50 years. 50 years of history. Wayne moved here in the early 70s. So almost 50 years ago. That's a long time. So when we talk about honoring and recognizing history, this is a piece of history that we need to recognize and not forget. And in particular, I think of Wayne as, you know, I first met him, a sweet, happy, cheerful, 45-year-old guy. And the fact is, as time goes by, everybody's getting older, all of us, and Wayne is getting older. Wouldn't it be nice to do something like this while Wayne can appreciate it? So hence the idea of acting with some expediency. There's been a groundswell of support, grassroots, of people saying we should do something to recognize this unbelievable and extraordinary contribution of more than 4 decades to public service. And a group has proposed naming the community hall for Wayne Nickum, which I think is a good idea. As Steve has pointed out, by the way, we don't own the building, and it's unclear whether we actually have naming rights, but certainly we could take action contingent upon, being able to do so, etc. But even stepping forward to take such action sends the right message. And the idea of the community hall, of course, is originally the community hall was over the fire station. Fire station was taken down, new fire station, and they added the community hall, which they've leased us under a long-term lease. That whole thing, Wayne was instrumental in making the community hall happen at all. But the community hall is where this council used to meet back in the olden days before Zoom, and therefore a very appropriate, of all the places that you could pick, a very appropriate place to have named in honor of Wayne Nickum. So that's the idea. I wanted to bring it forward to the council and begin the discussion. And I think we would certainly want to have, and I'd like input from others, I think we'd want to have another a meeting where we get input from the public, whatever people want to say, because I'm always concerned about, even if it's well-intended, taking precipitous action and having people later say, how come you did this? Nobody knew, you didn't tell us. So even if we all thought it was the greatest idea under the sun, that it makes sense to do it in an orderly way. And in fact, of all people, Wayne himself is someone who very much wants things to be done in the right way and is almost adamant about doing things in the right way. So to honor Wayne, I would like it to be done in the right way. And if there was, grumpy conversation and input about it, I think he'd enjoy that, because, that reminds him and us of what our town is about, that there are many points of view, and that we provide a forum where people can offer their input. So that is the issue that I wanted to put on the table to discuss.
Yeah, I support the idea totally. I also have spent close to 40 years going to town council meetings, not on the town council, but throwing rocks at the town council from the audience, particularly at Wayne, and Wayne throwing them at me and having a good time doing it. But we both got things done, which was the intent. I think this is the right thing to do, but I agree totally with Bill that you got to do it the right way. So we ought to have this on the agenda next month. Between now and then, we ought to check what we can and can't do in terms of it being a county building. And I think that if the county gives us a problem, we'll figure out another way around that too. But yeah, I totally support this.
I couldn't say it better.
Do we have anybody that's going to put the energy into it in the short-term bill to approach the county, I guess, on what it takes? I mean, I did a quick search, and they dedicated the facility on Route 1 to Jerry Highland a short time ago. So I think it's been done recently.
And I think one of the things I would do and am willing to do is to review our lease, which, by the way, our lease has been renewed. The county's asked to amend our lease, and that amendment is still subject to review. But the lease that we have, does the lease in some way prohibit or limit us from doing this? And to get an answer to that question, I don't know. I don't know that
the additional question, Bill, would be if it's technically if it is the county that has to do this and vote on it, then how do we get them to vote on it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think, my sense is the county isn't going to give us any problem on this. It's just getting it done right.
I can certainly reach out to our representative on the Board of Supervisors over the next 30 days and ask him and his team to look into that question. Certainly, if the county does it, we're done, because they own the building. So that would be easy. And if the county does it with our support, so and the county and our supervisor are very, very much aware of Wayne and his many contributions to work in the county. So it's not like it's something they would be surprised about. So I'll reach out to Pat Harity on that. Okay. Other input? Thoughts? Okay. Well, we'll see if we can get the pieces in place to be able to make it happen. We will put it on the agenda for next time to collect input from people. And then perhaps based on what we hear, we can take action at that time. But just as Steve said, do it the right way.
are we ready for a motion to adjourn?
Second.
He just said, are we ready for a motion?
He said the words motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, there's this, okay, motion a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Motion carries, thank you.
Lynn, 16 minutes off.
We'll see you again.
Good night, everybody.
Next one.
Good
Thanks,
night.
everyone.
Good night.
Take care all.